Hi, everybody, and welcome to How to Land a Job in Israel. My name is Rachel Berger, and I have been helping people find jobs, build careers, and build businesses for the past 18 years at Nefesh B'Nefesh. And I'm very happy to be here with you today. Unfortunately, it's not live. We had anticipated being with you, really, but we do have the ability to have a Zoom conversation. And even though I am not physically in front of you, I want you, all of you, each and every one of you, to know that we are here to help you every step of the way. And that even though we are distanced by Zoom, we are going through what is going on with COVID together. And please, please, please be in touch with us via email at the end of this presentation. So today I'm going to talk to you about navigating the job search. No, it doesn't work. 1 second. And it doesn't work, babes. Really doesn't work. Oh, okay. Okay, page down. No. Okay, so as I said, I have 18 years of experience, and we at Nefesh B'Nefesh have been working tirelessly to find companies that are interested in having English language professionals. And we have a job board, and on the job board, we have 4,750 companies. And these companies are consistently growing because the word is out that Nefesh B'Nefesh helps people who are native English speakers make aliyah. And the Israeli economy needs people like you to work in their companies. They need to have a global representation and not only a local representation. I'm not sure if you noticed, but more people speak English than speak Hebrew. So you bring an inordinate amount of valuable talents and skill sets, and Israeli companies are very, very interested in having people with an international background. There are HR groups, HR WhatsApp groups that we are a part of, where you have HR professionals consistently saying, how do I get someone with English language, native English language abilities to work by us? And so right now it's 4,750 companies. By the end of this year, it's going to be over 5,000 companies. We post 400 new jobs a month. And it's true that right now we are in shaky times. And I imagine that that number will be modified. But I'm going to tell you that I've been watching our job board just in the last 2 weeks, and we have not had any less jobs. It's probably something that we're going to see, but again, this team is very creative, and we help you figure out your job plan for the Israeli economy, working either locally or globally. We are resume experts, and we help you establish your personal brand. I've been giving LinkedIn workshops in person as well as online, and we're going to be starting a whole online program that you can join to learn about how you should be branding yourself for the Israeli market and what to focus on your resume, especially if you are pivoting your career. We work with each person individually because we found that the job search is something that is very personal. There are people in this audience that I'm sure that are in marketing or writing or social workers or healthcare workers, and each of you gets personalized guidance from our team, and we help you to build your career path in Israel. Again, 18 years experience, we've been doing this a lot, and we love to see our Olim thrive here in Israel. So what's the secret sauce? How do we help people? And the puzzle pieces that you see in front of you really help with landing your job in Israel. The first bit is the strategic resume. Israelis are very, and here's a Hebrew word that you can learn, it's slang, dugri. Do-gree means that they are very interested in knowing how you can help them. They are not very interested in knowing like all about you and your hobbies. I mean, it's interesting and it can get attention, but they want to know how you can help them and not the history of you. So what we do is we help you to have a targeted strategic resume. We have a lot of information about this on our website. And anybody interested in having us help you with the resume can send an email to employment@nbn.org.il. But to just give you a breakdown of the resume at this time, we tell people to think about having an executive summary and writing about your core skill set and why the company should hire you. Try to match that executive summary with what the company is looking for. And don't sit there and tell them something or have a generic resume if that is not what the company is looking for. Try to be very, very targeted. Once you have that strategic resume, you should know about what the job market is like for your industry. You might have experience as a PA, but we don't have a lot of positions for a PA. So we take a PA as a physician's assistant. We would take that resume, talk about your science background, talk about your knowledge base, talk about your added value, and then try to target it for the health tech market. Or we would try to target it for an online position where we have remote work for medical professionals. This I can do for you with any profession. Any profession that is out there, we have knowledge about, and we think it's very, very important that before you start and say, okay, I'm just going to get a job when I get to Israel, you have a sense of what your value is. And sometimes this is an issue of pivoting your career. And sometimes this is an issue of just knowing where your greatest value is in order to make the most money. We have resources that we will share with you on how to access a job in Israel. As my colleague Adina said in the previous session, there are Facebook groups that are extraordinarily helpful and are supportive of new Olim, run by Olim. So if a person is an Ole in tech, there's Olim in tech. If there is a person that is establishing a career and is a mom, there's something called Ima Kadima. If there's a person in Tel Aviv, there's something called Secret Tel Aviv. And if there's someone in Jerusalem, there's something called Secret Jerusalem. There's Anglos in Israel. We have a long list of these Facebook groups that post jobs every single day. And no matter what career you are in, you can start chatting with other Olim by using these groups and getting a sense of what your job opportunities are in Israel. And obviously networking, which I'm going to talk about at length later. Now that we're in COVID land, we are going to have to think about networking online, but I will tell you that that's something that's been part of my job for many, many years. And I always say I use LinkedIn to make new friends, and a stranger is a person who has just not become my friend yet. And I would like you to adapt and adopt that kind of mentality, because Israelis like to help and Israelis are very warm, and former Olim are also people who want to be very, very helpful with your job search. So if you have the strategic resume and you have a sense of what your value is in the job market, whether it is with your current skill set or whether it's pivoting what you do. Just to tell you, you know, a quick story. I had somebody that I was working with that his goal was to, not everybody has this goal, but his goal was to create an income stream that would be the largest income stream that he personally could do with not having a boss, making his own. He wanted to become self-employed, making his own time, like he would work when he wanted to, and he wanted to build a client base. So he was a guy in IT. We happened to find him a job. He had a strategic resume. We showed him knowledge of the job market, how to access a job in Israel, networking, all of that. And he decided to flip it, and he decided to go into home repairs. And today he actually has a business in painting where he has hired about 4 or 5 of our Olim. And it was because he took knowledge of the job market, not the job market, knowledge of his industry, which was going to be working in the building industry. And he realized that because he was someone who was respectful, neat, had client care and customer service on a really high level, he was going to be able to make value, to have value, and to create a situation for himself where he can make a lot of income. And that was something that was very successful for him. And I mentioned self-employment in addition to the concept of just finding a job and fitting into the Israeli job market, because that's another option in Israel that a lot of our Olim also look at. And I'll get to some different industries a bit later in the presentation. So one of the things that's super duper important, which is again one of the puzzle pieces, is knowledge of the different industries. And there are different sites and blogs that you can look at. One of them is Israel 21C. I get it to my email all the time. And one of the things I like a lot about it is that if you look at the top, which you can't see so well here, but you can if you go to israel21c.org, is that it focuses on different industries. So for example, if there's someone who's a nurse that comes to Israel and says, I don't want to take the test, I'm not interested in working in a hospital, but I'd like to work in health tech, we have placed nurses in health tech. And some people in the previous session asked about ageism. Some of the nurses that we have placed in health tech have been over 55, because again, you're not going to be forcibly retired in a tech job. You will be in a hospital setting, but there's a great need for health workers in Israel as all over the world, so people find other positions. But doing research on things like Israel 21C or C-Tech or No Camels allows you to get a huge sense of the Israeli market. And that is something that I think is super duper important when you are making Aliyah. Have a sense of what the market offers, what's available to you, and where you might want to put yourself in order to create the largest amounts of income streams for yourself. Okay, one point I want to make is that Nefesh B'Nefesh, and I'll also talk a little bit more about it later in the presentation, is involved now in a tech initiative. As you see, the title here is Israel Tech Sector Grows, but Demand Still Outstrips Supply. I want to tell you that today I spoke to a guy who was one of our Olim, who was in product, who's today a CEO of a company that has 65 people. All of them work remotely except one day a month where they all get together. And he told me that he would be paying top shekel, which is, it would be about $15,000 a month, which in Israel is a very good salary, about $150,000 a year for someone in DevOps, because he can't find it. He said if people in certain tech or certain knowledge base of tech come to Israel, there is demand, such a demand for these workers that they can choose their jobs. Okay, and I was saying to you before about networking. So here we talk about coffee. Israelis love coffee, not right now because of COVID land, but they do love to sit and share with you their expertise and also give you information that can be critical for your job search. So we have been encouraging people right now to do virtual coffee with their network, and we will help you with building your network when you write us to employment@nbn.org.il. We will give you industry people, Olim, who came before you, who can tell you about your industry, and they can give you insights which could be very, very helpful in terms of your job search. And sometimes they can also help you by getting your resume in front of the right person for a position in Israel. Okay, so as I said, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the tech ops within the Israeli job market. According to a very, very recent report by Startup Nation Central, we are short 18,500 people in the tech industry. When going into this, we need at least 2,000 top engineers, and then there are all kinds of support people that are needed as well, whether it's people who go through career boot camps. There are career boot camps in Israel, like the Israel ITC, Israel Tech Challenge, and several others, that these career boot camps help you to get placed within Israeli companies. And these career boot camps happen to be funded, so part of it is funded by the Israel Innovation Authority. I have just been to ITC, and I met people there in their data program, and I asked them why they were in Israel, and they said that they were going to go to a career boot camp, to a tech boot camp in the States, but the issue of Shabbat came up, and they wanted to be in a boot camp that respected Shabbat. I asked somebody else, why did you come from Holland for this tech boot camp? And he said he would have easier access getting into top companies like Google and Microsoft in order to start his career in Israel. So things to keep in mind are that if you come to Israel and technology is something that you have already, you have a tech background, well, awesome for you. There are international companies and local companies that really, really want you. If you come to Israel and you don't have a tech background, but you're interested in getting involved in a tech background, there are career boot camps that you can take part in. And you should know that the Ministry of Absorption has a program called the Voucher Program, which will give you up to 7,000 shekels, which could be up to 80% of your program, of the cost of the program. They will pay towards your tuition for the program, for the course, and this can be a real upside for you to break into the tech world. Anybody who, again, writes us at employment@nbn.org.il, I will send you the 6 different boot camps that got funding from the Israel Innovation Authority. That means that they were approved by the Israel Innovation Authority to be part of this program in order to create more tech workers in Israel. And again, there's a huge, huge, huge need. Okay, so you're making Aliyah, yay! What's next? So as we said, you need to research, and you need to have a roadmap on how you're going to do this. I recommend that once you have your targeted resume and you started to do industry research, you put together an Excel file and you start reaching out to companies and networking, and you keep a record of who you spoke to, when you spoke to them, what they said, and that way when you want to reach out again, you can reach out again to them. There's a guy who came to my seminar last year. He's in Israel already. And we met, and I said to him, this is the recipe. This is what you need to do. You need to have the resume. You need to know the industry. You need to network. You need to have this Excel file. So he did. And by the way, he is 61 years old. And by the way, he had a resume that said that he did sales, has no Hebrew, and wants to work here. And I said to him, just keep sending it out, keep sending it out, keep sending it out. Guess what? He got a job before he came, something that's very, very unusual. They interviewed him via Skype, and now he is one of our industry connections. Anyone who's in sales can ask me for his information. I'm happy to give it to you. He is somebody who will help other Olim. He followed the recipe, and he got the job, which is just awesome for him. He is very excited to be part of the sales team in an innovative high-tech company. It is really important that you know what Nefesh B'Nefesh has to offer. We are a department of professionals that have put together a really extensive website on every element of the job search that is just important for you to go through. Your profession will likely be mentioned there. We have 72 professions. We talk about businesses. It's important for you as a new Israeli worker to know your legal rights and benefits, and we talk about pension, and we talk about your employee rights, and it's something you should just be familiar with because you're going to be a citizen in this country. So I said to you that I was going to talk about LinkedIn. Now, there are many, many, many platforms that will talk about LinkedIn. There are programs online. You can go on YouTube, how to make sure that you have a stellar LinkedIn profile. Israelis use LinkedIn a ton. And there are jobs on LinkedIn at the back that give you a sense when you're looking for a job, what opportunities you will have. And what I recommend is step one, make sure that you have a dynamite profile and that Israeli headhunters could find you. Number two, make sure that you have between 300 to 500 connections, hopefully some of them in Israel. So again, you can find others, you can research others. Don't be shy to reach out to people you don't know. In whatever field you are, you can research it and you can find someone in the field and you can send them a message and say, hi, I'm making Aliyah and I see that you're working in. Do you have a few minutes to talk to me? I've done this numerous times. I have 12,000 connections on LinkedIn, and that's because I speak to a lot of people I don't know. Just to tell you a cool collaborative story, I saw somebody that I don't know that made Aliyah to Pardes Chana, who has a LinkedIn business, and I reached out to him and I said, hey, I would love to talk to you. He said, okay, let's set a time. And he gave me an hour of consulting on how to boost my presence on LinkedIn. I mean, I'll tell you the tip, it's worth a couple of $100. He basically said that whatever your place of expertise is, whatever your area of expertise is, you should be posting at a time where people will start seeing it and liking it and sharing it, and make sure to be in groups to do the same thing. Get attention for what you do. Now, this is not true for all industries, but this is definitely true for a lot of industries. Anybody in the business sector, anybody in professional sector, they need to make sure to have a stellar LinkedIn profile and also to be active on LinkedIn. And believe me, I've met so many people that I first met through LinkedIn, and it has built my network, and for sure it's something that's right there and available for you to have for your own network. Okay, this is the next step as well. Start looking at our job board. Start getting a sense of what positions are available to you. If you are coming within the next few months, short months, you know that you're going to go straight for a job, you can start applying, even though the Israeli hiring cycle is a short cycle. Think about my friend who is early 60s, working in sales. He used this job board as one of many tools, and he landed himself a position that was actually posted on our job board. Start the conversation. Get feedback from hiring managers. Try to pivot yourself in such a way that before you come here, you know what you're coming to. If you use our job board and LinkedIn and the Facebook groups, you have a team, a committee, a community of people who will be helping you with your job search and helping you find employment in Israel. So you set a date. This is when you're coming on Aliyah. It happens to be that July 4th was my Aliyah date, but a long time ago. You set a date, and 3 months before, you start to get yourself together in terms of the employment search. That way, when you get off the plane, you already are hitting the ground running and not saying, I'm unpacking and I got to figure out what I'm going to do here. This is the way to do it, to have a plan, to know which industries you're looking at, to start reaching out, and to do it 3 months before you are coming to Israel. So some Israeli work benefits that you should just be aware of. Believe it or not, we're a bunch of Jewish mothers here, I guess Jewish fathers as well. We feed you. Tain Bis is a card that you can get in many places of work. And it will cover your lunch every day. It could be, it's not an expensive lunch. It could be, anything from the local, they'll have it like a kitchen or something, or it could be some stores that are right near the place that you're working. Travel. There's mandatory travel, and then some places will give you a car, and some places that give you a car will also pay for your gas, depending on what your position is. If you're in sales, you'll get one type of opportunity, and if you are somebody that they only want to pay for your car to go to work and come back, they may or may not pay for your additional gas. But you should know that travel, Chafshi Chodshi, which is like a bus ticket, will be covered. It has to be covered, and that some places will offer a car, and some places will also have a dalkan, which is the word for gas in Hebrew is delek, and will cover your gas. In certain industries, this is something you should ask for. I, again, will encourage you to go to our website, nbn.org.il, and to look at the articles we have on employee benefits, pension plans. Nefesh B'Nefesh has done a lot of programming on pension plans, just so that you could be an educated consumer, which is really important. And we have people who are willing to talk to you and help you out. Your company comes with a pension plan, but sometimes people want to know more about what's available to them. And again, we have that kind of information. We are not pension advisors, but we can give you names of people who can talk to you about this so that you are educated. And Karen Hishtalmut. Karen Hishtalmut is a savings plan. It's actually called an education plan. But it's not because you need more education. You put money away and your boss puts money away. It's a benefit. Not everybody has it. Some industries have it and it's automatic, like anybody who's going into the education industry is, if you're working for Misrad HaChinuch, the Ministry of Education, you will get Karen Hishtalmut. Big companies will give you Karen Hishtalmut. But that is something that you should ask for in many of the industries that you will be working in. It's as an expectation. You should know Israelis expect it, and this is in your benefits. I want to just say something about pension plans. The law in Israel is that you get pension right away if you come with your pension plan and if you've worked somewhere else. But if you don't have a pension, they can wait 6 months to give you the pension. This penalizes new olim, and I heads you up that when you go to discuss your contract with your boss, you say, I expect you to start my pension now, like at the beginning, at the beginning of your start of work. Okay. And we deal with every single type of individual that is coming. And I'm just going to walk you through the trajectory of 3 of these people that are here, the 3 of these professions. Let's say someone comes and they are a graphic designer. This graphic designer wants to get a job, not necessarily work for as a self-employed person. And I'll do both. I'll do self-employed graphic designer, and it doesn't matter if anybody in the audience is a graphic designer or not. I would like to just talk about the resources for somebody who's self-employed. If the person's a graphic designer and they want to work in tech, we might say to them, upgrade your skills to be a UX UI person, right? And then you can go to the voucher program, which is something we talked about. Or we might say to them, okay, let's make sure you have the top skills that are necessary and you have a really good portfolio. And now it's time to network with people who can help you find a position as a graphic designer. You'll use LinkedIn. You will use a site in Hebrew called Misrot B'Haytek Ben Chaverim. I will send it to you again if you write to employment@nbn.org.il. And these are places where they're going to post jobs for graphic designers. Let's say you say, I'm not interested in working for someone else. I want to be self-employed. So we will discuss with you all the issues that you have to be aware of for someone who's self-employed in Israel, whether or not you are going to have a corporation and pay yourself, or whether or not you're going to be something called an atzma'i, an independent, in which case you have to pay Social Security as well as the Israel Social Security, Bituach Leumi. These are details, and I can't see your faces, and everybody's at home. But I'm saying these details to you because I want you to be aware that we have the information and the guidance for you so that when you're making this decision, we can give you the right professionals who will help you with self-employment. And you should know that there's a Facebook group run by someone called Rivka Leibowitz called IFSLII. Again, you'll email me, I'll send you the link, which is for Israel and US self-employed people. Every detail, and it's again a community and a committee, people who will help you as you are building your career here in Israel. Let's say you come and you're an accountant. So I will ask you, are you a tax accountant or an audit accountant? And you will say to me, I am a tax accountant. And I will say to you, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to work for one of the big 4? Do you want to work for yourself? Do you want to work for a smaller accounting firm? Anybody who comes who's an accountant in tax, will have lots of opportunities here because we have lots of people who need their taxes to be filed, a lot of US citizens who are expatriates. And let's say you come and you say, I'm an urban planner, and that's something I really want to do. I will say to you, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have top level Hebrew skills, because an urban planner is going to work for an agency that is involved in government, and that is someone who must have top level Hebrew skills, and we will connect you with the right people to see if you can get a position working in your field here in Israel. We've really done it all. We've had educators that we've placed in education, and we've had educators who pivoted their career to ed tech, because today, especially now with COVID, the people who have pivoted their careers to ed tech, this is their moment with all of the, with the situation of people learning from home. So that is something also, we have the ability to help you just integrate, and we have the ability to help you pivot as well. Okay, so now you are ready to take that leap. I hope that you feel empowered. I hope that you feel like we have a roadmap and that there's a plan. Again, I want you to know that we are here for you. We are going to be working tirelessly with each and every single one of you in order to help build your career plan. and get you to be successful and be, someone who comes here and integrates here, and that this works out for you. And just a little bit of some of our Olim who came before you. At the bottom, you'll see that there's someone called Seth. Seth came here and he started something called E-Team. He wanted to impact and make a difference on Israeli society. And so he helps people work with the local rabbinical authorities to get married and to have life cycle events. And he is someone that we have awarded the Bonei Tzion Prize, a prize that Nefesh B'Nefesh gives out to people who have impacted on Israeli society. I've been friends with Seth since he's 19, and watching him establish something that has impacted so greatly on Israel is incredibly rewarding. And it's also humbling to see what one person can do to make a difference. And then there's Janine. Janine is a woman who came here in 2002, and she is now on her 4th startup. One of her startups she sold to Intel. She actually has not yet mastered the Hebrew language, but she has mastered the ability to work within Israel and to work within startups and high tech, even though she came as an outsider. Again, that's something that you can do as well. And then there's Zev. Zev started it was really just an email list to help people. And it became a marketing platform for Jerusalem Anglos, for Janglo. And these are all people who came just like you. Some have regular jobs and work within the system, and some had an idea and impacted on the system and made a huge difference. And each and every one who comes makes a difference, whether you're adding to the current amount of people that are here, or just participating in the Israeli economy, or bringing your international experience. Every single person impacts, and some people take their creative energy and create something that just makes a huge difference for Israeli society. And they too are Olim. Olim also come and impact and make a difference, and that's something that each and every one of you has the ability to do. And at this point, I will say I'm happy to take any questions you may have, and I'm happy to be here for you.
Good question. What was your name? What was my name? Someone was asking about what was the resource that you mentioned about UX and tech jobs? Do you remember?
Okay, so if people are looking at UX or tech jobs, so I said that there's a Facebook group. There are 2 Facebook groups you should know of. One is Olim in Tech, and the other one is Misrot B'High-Tech Ben Chaverim. If you email us at employment@nbn.org.il, I'm very, very happy to send you the exact link. Are there any other questions?
And no, people have been asking lots of questions throughout regarding accounting, regarding law. Is there a lawyers network?
Okay, so there is a lawyer. There are 2 lawyers networks that people can know about on, again, on Facebook. One is Ask an Israeli Lawyer, and the other one is Foreign Lawyers in Israel. And again, if you send us an email to employment@nbn.org.il, we'll send you the exact links. And the Foreign Lawyers in Israel one is, again, it's your community and your committee. Every single profession, you're a psychologist, there's something called Heap Psi. You're a librarian. Every single profession has their network, and we can connect you with that online network as well. So what's the job search like for people over 70? So that's a tough one, because I will tell you there is ageism in Israel, but we do have people over 70 who have found positions. I helped a woman who moved to the north. She was actually 72. She was a lawyer who was a partner in a firm, and she had a specialty in human rights. And before we found her position, I said to her, look, you're going to have to take your skills and see what you can do and look at your local market. And where she lived, I said, maybe you want to teach English as a second language to professionals. And she said, okay. And she started to hustle it up and get some people to be her clients. But then somebody approached us and said, we need a human rights lawyer, and she worked remotely for this company as a human rights lawyer. She did not make her American salary, but she really only needed a little bit to subsidize her her pension, and she wanted to still stay active. Anybody over 70, I'm going to say, look at your skills, see what the market wants, and see what you can do in order to fit in that market. There are a lot of our Olim who are teaching English as a second language for people in that age who are over 70. Can you get into a boot camp without a tech background? Okay, so you don't need a tech background. You do need a science background or a math background, but you can look at something called Elevation Academy. Elevation Academy is also subsidized by the Israel Innovation Authority, and Elevation Academy does digital marketing. And they have had a lot of success in terms of training people and integrating people within the job market.
Training for medical coders, U.S. or Israeli?
Okay, so training for medical coders, generally the people that we've met with come with that training as well. We had a company come and do medical coding training. Like, it was a week-long boot camp because it was a company that needed medical coders. We have some of that information in order to connect you to companies that do that. We recently had a company that also asked for medical coders. I will connect you to them. Again, you'll send an email and I'll send you the information that I have. It is best to have the training from America, and then that's a job you could do remotely. I would recommend that if that's the type of job you're looking for, medical coding, that you get your training and you look on Glassdoor, you look on Indeed, and you bring your job with you from America. Okay, so there's a question for a mechanical engineer who wants to break into the aerospace industry. Does he need to have a license? So I will say that that is something that is being switched up as we speak. And the best thing to do is to speak with Ronen, R-O-N-E-N, at nbn.org.il, who is in charge of all the licensing, because if you would have asked me that question 2 years ago, the answer was no. But currently it's something that is in discussion. If you're working for a private company, mechanical engineers still do not get licensed. But if you're working for a company that is government based, I have to check it to see exactly where that is. And Ronen is the local expert on licensing.
Bookkeepers and human resources.
Okay, so we have on our job board a lot of position for bookkeepers. We have bookkeepers who work for other companies, and we have bookkeepers who do bookkeeping freelance. We have bookkeepers who, and again, anybody who's a bookkeeper, just send us your resume and we will connect you up with people in the industry who we've been in touch with. Human resources. There's a question about human resources. So human resources generally needs Hebrew. You're working for Israeli companies, you need to know Israeli law. And there are some talent acquisition experts who work in certain companies doing recruiting, and they don't necessarily have a master of their Hebrew language skill set. But I generally say that anybody who wants to go into human resources has to have very decent Hebrew and has to know Israeli law. That's usually the way that it works here. And here and there are some jobs that don't necessarily, they're asking more for recruiters than they are for people in human resources.
Okay. How do we know if we have to change career?
Okay, and the last question for the evening is, how do we know if we have to change careers? So the best thing to do is email us at employment@nbn.org.il, and we will discuss your skill set, your personalized employment journey, and we'll give you our advice based on our 18 years of experience in the industry of how you can find opportunities and build your career in Israel. I'm so glad to have been with you and wishing you a great day.